You know, like I'm not defending that. I'm just saying that the United States is also simultaneously bad.
No,
Like,
but
yeah,
I know it's bad. Look, if I come off antagonistic here, the main reason is because, like, all the people who see this Twitter thread are going to think that and you seem to think, because you keep repeating it as though I believe this, that America is like this exceptional, indefensible, or sorry, exceptional, highly defensible country.
0% of you are subscribed. Fix that.
Mega based. So I saw people on Twitter saying that I was gonna like yell at you or something.
on Twitter, I know I kind of seemed like I was out for blood. I was mostly joking. But yeah, I'm sometimes a little bit slower.
Whether you were joking or not, there are now thousands of people who are liking and responding to that tweet with some very silly interpretations of what I believe. Before we get down to it, do you mind if I play the tweeted video for my audience really quick?
Yeah.
Single-party states that teach their doctrine from a very young age, which is all very suspicious to begin with. Again, America has its problems, but we do not teach people from grade kindergarten to grade 12 about George Washingtonian thought and the glory of the founding of our country.
He's a little loud.
There we go. Let's talk about it's pretty yikes clip right there. Really makes me look like a reactionary American exceptionalist who doesn't think America engages in state propaganda.
Well, and I want to say that I think that we agree on more than we disagree.
Yeah, again, like you came at me pretty hot on Twitter from what it seems like. So it's odd to me that you would like open this by saying you feel like you agree with me on more than you disagree with me. I don't know, maybe that would have been helpful context in the Twitter thread, but
you got to think of a context
of
Sure.
this video segment that you've provided right here. What in it do you disagree with? What give me a core criticism?
Yeah. So, like, fundamentally, while the indoctrination in the United States is not worse than China, but I would also say that it isn't better, because the thing about China and you know, North Korea and the USSR and all this stuff, right, is that it's overt, and it's that you can see it on the face. In the United States, it's a little bit harder. You know, all my teachers in middle school glorified the founding fathers as this like mythological beginning to our country in a way that I think is fundamentally the same as the way that China glorifies Mao or the USSR glorifies Lenin. Excuse me.
Okay, so we're gonna have to start with this because I think this is a pretty ridiculous false equivalency. So I want to open with an example and we can move from there. Are you familiar with something called the 1776 Project?
Donald Trump.
So, what made the 1776 Project bad?
I mean, one, it was fascist propaganda, and two, fundamentally, it was an unacademic work. There were no sources. The facts were oftentimes just not there.
And the patriotic education that Trump was going to impose, as inspired by the 1776 Project, how do you think
Sure.
that patriotic education would have differed from the education that we have today?
Oh, I think fundamentally, it would have made the propaganda more overt. And I think that it would have perhaps made it harder for people to dissent openly.
Okay. And so you're of the opinion that the invocation of the patriotic education that Trump was advocating for, if it was applied in America, it would have worsened our system. That the making it more overt, more direct, it would have been more of an imposition on your freedom.
Well, it depends on how you define freedom.
So this is one of the issues that I have when I discuss this with chat. It's the reason why the segment that you pulled, that little clip, to my knowledge, it wasn't part of a video that I released. It was because I was having difficulty trying to quantify and qualify the differences between different countries' responses to propaganda and the way they propagandize within their own countries. Here in America, public opinion is limited to a very narrow range of acceptable discourse by way of media manipulation and education. The point that I was making was that we do that in America. They don't do that in China. They can just arrest you for saying the wrong things.
And I'm not saying that these things are exactly equivalent, right?
They're
But
not
what
even
I'm saying
remotely
is,
equivalent. I mean, the Chinese government it has a firewall around the internet. It doesn't even allow citizens to acknowledge the Tiananmen Square massacre. There's nothing even close to that here in America. there
But
are
I think that
significant differences. If I said in Hitler's Germany, they put a picture of Hitler up and they they hailed to him at the beginning of every class session, and that is the thing they did, and it was bad. Would you then turn to me and say, well, here in America, we hold the Pledge of Allegiance? It is true we hold the Pledge of Allegiance, but I think you're kind of downplaying how bad that first one is by suggesting that it's the same as what we do here in the States. How would you quantify differences in the severity of propaganda?
Well, I guess that's sort of what I'm here to argue, is that I'm saying that they are, in a sense, equally bad versus one being better. I want to be super freaking clear. Like, I'm not defending China.
See, I'm not a monster.
I'm not defending the USSR.
Well, you are, though. By comparing them to America, you're downplaying the crimes that they've committed against their citizenry.
But I think you're downplaying the crimes the United States commits.
No, I'm not.
Right?
I'm being very specific about what America does. Well, we're talking, again, China can just arrest you for criticizing the state. They prevent you from accessing information online. Even mentioning crimes committed by the state can be enough to get you a prison sentence. That's explicit, and it happens daily. I'm not down. We're looking at the face of it. America doesn't even do anything close to that. Not on the face of it, not even remotely so. The people in China are kept politically constrained by the arm of the state, not by what America has, which is a more abstract, pseudo-codified social restriction.
We have secret police. It's called the FBI.
Wait, hold on. Again, this is the equivocating that makes me wonder if you're engaging in good faith. If you think the FBI do in America what the Secret Service in the Soviet Union did, I would encourage you to Google death tolls. I'm not even going to engage with that.
But Vaush, we have an authoritarian government. And on top of that, not only do we have an authoritarian government, we have an authoritarian government that tells us the same type of nationalistic myth that all nationalistic countries tell their people.
We did it again.
It happened in Nazi Germany. It happened in Soviet Russia. It happened in Israel. Happening here.
We did it again.
Justice for all.
Do you understand that there's a difference between what I said and what you've said?
I don't like that you're downplaying the stuff that the U.S. teaches. I have friends.
You keep saying
no. I have black Vaush. So we've been talking about this.
Downplaying stuff, which is weird because you keep. I mean, whether you like it or not, you're constantly downplaying the shit that goes on in like the USSR and China and Vietnam. Every time it gets brought up, you're like, okay, yeah, those things are bad, but America is the evilest country in the world. Like every single time it comes up, I can't even get you to hammer on that point.
Vaush, there's one person in this debate who has seemed to say that something is fine, and that seems to be you with America.
When? You keep saying
you didn't say the word. You keep downplaying American propaganda
saying that too. When?
Because you haven't said it in exact words, but the way that you're saying that I'm downplaying it by saying that these other countries are also bad, right?
My friend,
if I'm saying that it's all bad,
when I brought up the secret police in the USSR, you were like, well, the FBI is bad too, as though there wasn't an ocean of difference between the two of them. As if there wasn't a mountain range between the two. You are desperate to equivocate. Everything bad happening in all these other countries is bad, sure, but America is bad, so we don't have to talk about which one is worse.
So. How can you right now tell me that the United States is less dogmatic, less of a propaganda machine than somewhere like the USSR? Well, explain to me how that's true.
Well, I mean, I gave you my arguments. There are a number of ways that you can break this down. So part of it comes with the extent to which certain leaders are deified. Some of it comes with the extent to which a cult of personality is formed around them. This is easier to do with living or recently living leaders. In America, I'm going to be real, I'll die on this hill too. I don't think there's a cult of personality around the founding fathers.
I don't understand how China's is any more inherently insidious than ours. Does that make sense? Well, I'm not saying they don't do worse things with it. I'm saying how's the propaganda as a thing more insidious in the US than
So,
somewhere else.
first of all, I don't think so. I don't think the founding myth of this country is as mythical as the founding myths of many other countries. Now, again, this
And you
really
would think that because you were raised learning it,
no, please,
right?
no, stop. Hold on, stop. Now, this obviously varies county by county, okay? But I really think that for the most part, what most like elementary school students do with regards to their veneration of the state is they sing the Pledge of Allegiance every morning, which they can say no to, by the way. They won't get shot. They can do that. And not that
No,
it
but
makes
people
it
have
good.
gotten sent to the principal's office that I know for not
Yeah, but
standing during the pledge.
they can't. I'm pretty sure there was like a Supreme Court thing on this. You can't be expelled
I know,
for
it
not
still
standing for the Pledge
happens.
of Allegiance. I know that people
Yeah.
get sent to the. I got sent to the principal's office for breathing too loud. Okay, we need to be specific with our language here. Okay, just because there are bad things in America does not mean that they're necessarily the same as bad things elsewise. So every time I say like American thing is this, you're like, well, that's really bad. Like I know it's bad, but I'm trying to point out a distinction. There are other things as well, and that this is
Right, but
something
I
that
think you could say like
persists more
I'm gonna
dogmatically.
be I think that you could say a really like, and I mean this, and maybe you think that I'm bad faith for saying this, but I think that you could make a very similar equivocation to the United States in its not
I don't think there's
real
anything I could
word.
say to you that you would hear and think, oh wow, that is worse than here. I think that I could say like literally, it could be like they put a photo up and then you'd be like, well, some people have posters of the founding fathers painted, and then I could be like, they all Heil Hitler, and you'd be like, well, they do the pledge. I feel like I could say literally anything, and you would find something in America that it's the same as, you know?
I mean, I might be able to.
No, but that's a
I don't
bad thing
know.
because you're ignoring the severity of these items and you're just looking for an excuse to equivocate so you can avoid criticizing these countries for doing worse. It's not a good thing. America isn't actually doing.
Why can't I criticize both, Vaush? Why can't
because
I criticize both?
because you're not criticizing both. You're criticizing
Yes, I
America.
am.
No, you're not. The only thing you're doing is you're taking criticisms of other countries and saying, oh, well, America does that or worse. You're not criticizing those countries. You're only doing it to America. The only reason you're engaging with this conversation is so that you can find points of my argument and then draw some tenuous thread from that to something that America does. But that's not criticizing the country that I'm talking about.
Like I'm not insane, you know. Like I'm not defending that. I'm just saying that the United States is also simultaneously bad.
No,
like
but I know it's bad. Look, if I come off antagonistic here, the main reason is because like all the people who see this Twitter thread are going to think that and you seem to think, because you keep repeating it as though I believe this, that America is like this exceptional, exceptional, highly defensible country. But in reality, I think that my positions on propagandizing are fairly well researched. Japan has a lot of good going for it, but holy fuck, they cannot account for their war crimes. They can't do it.
Oh yeah.
And when it comes to high school curriculum on Japan, their segments on World War II are unabashedly propagandistic.
When has the United States government genuinely reconciled slavery and Jim Crow?
We're not talking about
we're
not talking about reconciliation. We're talking about
acknowledging.
Oh,
sorry, didn't you say the war crime thing?
Yeah, but the Japan hasn't even acknowledged the existence of these war crimes. But you just did the equivocacy thing again right there. All governments promote education, which is supportive of a state narrative, and that different countries do it in different ways. I think some of them do it in worse ways than others, and unless we can acknowledge the differences both in severity and kind, I don't think we can meaningfully address or treat those problems.
Yeah, and I guess I just disagree. Like, I just think that, like, you know, I will say that, like, again, I've watched a good amount of your content, and I'm not saying that the United States is worse than China or that China isn't bad. I'm saying that it's all bad. And I'm saying that
worse. All bad is a very lazy criticism. Some things are worse than other things.
That doesn't mean that the United States is not fundamentally a propagandistic, dogmatic.
But I've never said otherwise. You're like shadowboxing with a person who believes that America is okay, and I don't believe that. So you keep backing up to that.
Okay.
Hey, you know I love you, right?
Yeah, no, I know. I don't know. I'm tired. You blew the fuck out of me in this debate, man. Like, I'll admit that. Like, I'm not a debate person. I just think that at the end of the day, fundamentally, I think that the United States is a propaganda machine.
Well, I don't disagree. You know who really won? The international proletariat. Okay.
True.
I hope
Left
you have
wing.
a wonderful night. I'm gonna go play some Bloodborne. Now, I'm not defending America.